Every crime has a story behind it. These stories are told by the people who lived it. This is Victims' Voices with Nicole Johnson.
Thank you for joining us. Today's guest is someone who turned his pain into purpose. At just 16 years old, he was shot and survived. Instead of turning that trauma into anger and fear, he transformed it into action. Joining us today is Tyreek Goodman. Welcome to Victims' Voices.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Talk to us about the day you were just 16 years old, that day you were shot. What were you doing?
So it was a night out, and what we call night outs, it was in the South Bronx. Night outs is usually when, you have a large group of crowds, everybody's outside on the block chilling. It's like a block party in a sense, right? So me and my friends, we was chilling by the park, and we decided to go and walk around the block. Just when we decided to walk around the block, also, let me backtrack. While we was walking around the block, I was also in front of my friends.
And you say block. What block are we talking about?
169 in Wash.
Okay.
169
in the
Washington,
Bronx.
in the Bronx,
Okay.
in the South Bronx. And during that time, I was a different type of kid, a troubled youth in a sense. So when we was all walking and things like that, I was in front of my friends. And long story short, 3 boys hopped out of a car. I was a little bit intoxicated that day.
Intoxicated at
Yes.
16 years old?
Yeah.
What were you drinking?
We was drinking.
Okay.
Yeah. It's normal and natural, especially growing up where we come from. When you're in the projects and things like that, a lot of us, especially as teenagers, we do a lot of things that we're not supposed to be doing. But it was all, at that time, it was all in the name of fun, in a sense. Just when I had the 3 boys hopped out of the car, and I had got close to one of them, like literally like this close. And what happened was I decided to turn the corner, because I didn't really recognize the face or anything. I turned the corner. One of my friends, he also turned the corner with me. The rest of the guys, they was in the back. They didn't get a chance to turn the corner before the shots let off. It was 3 people that were shooting. The 3 boys that got out the car. The first bullet would have hit my friend in the head if he didn't duck, and it hit the mailbox. Right then and there, once that happened, the shots started ringing. I couldn't run where he was running at because I was close to the gate. He ran towards the street. As I'm running, a lot of people talk. It's different when you're watching movies and, you see them shots going off and people shooting. This is way different and this is way scarier. As those shots was getting let off, only thing I kept hearing was the swoop, swoop. So you hear the bang and then you hear you actually hear the bullet going past you. So it was about like 5 or 6 shots that let off that I actually was hearing the like literally past me. And I couldn't move. Only thing I could do was just run straight ahead.
What was going through your head at that moment?
Honestly, I was just more in shock of hearing that. It's a difference between hearing gunshots, watching movies, and seeing everything, how everything play out. Or even on the block, if you hear gunshots up the block, you're like, oh, well, that's regular. But you know when it's geared towards you once you start hearing that whistle sound. You hear it from the moment it comes out the barrel, from the moment it comes your way. And even though I wanted to run towards the street where my friend ran, where he was able to duck the bullets, I couldn't because all the shots was coming literally on my right side. As I'm running, I hear the final shot, boom. And this one, it started to whistle, but not only did it whistle, it didn't seem like it wasn't coming past me, this one. I got shot right on my left shoulder. When it hit me, it literally felt like this. Like, it wasn't like the movies when you get shot and you're like, and it wasn't that. It was quick. It was fast. Before I could realize
Did
that
you feel it? Did you know you had been shot?
Not really. It felt like something ricocheted off to something else and hit me. Because, like, once again, when you're thinking you're getting shot, you're thinking that it's going to, like, take you off your feet. You know what I mean? You're thinking that it's going to be painful. At that moment, I guess because my adrenaline was up, I was also moving as well. I was running down the hill while they were shooting. So I guess that maybe I didn't feel it how it was supposed to be felt in a sense. But it was a scary moment for me. It definitely was a scary moment. And what shocked me the most is that it this might sound weird, but it didn't hurt. It was so quick that I couldn't even stop it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was out of my control, out of my hands.
Understood.
After I got shot, I'm still running. I trip up on my feet. One of my shoes come loose. One of my shoes fell off. I run down. My uncle, he's only 2 years older than me, my uncle. So if I was 16, my uncle was 18. I ran down to him because he was at the end of the block. I ran to him and I told him, like, I think I got hit. He looks at me. Now, mind you, I got a black shirt on. I'm regular. So when I run down there and I tell him, he's like, he's like, nah, you good. Everybody looking at me like you good. And then I'm like, just check my shoulder. He looked and he looked at my shoulder and he didn't even say nothing. He just grabbed my hand and then put it towards the wound. And I'm like, and then that's when I knew I got shot. Now, once again, you'll think it'll be bleeding out and things like that. It wasn't. The bullet kind of burnt through most of the skin in the back. So I wasn't bleeding a lot. I got to we went to the front of the building where my grandmother building is 3603 right there on 3rd Avenue, Washington Ave, 3rd Ave. We got to the front of the building and then we waited for the ambulance and the cops. My mother had got a phone call. She's all the way on Jackson. This is 169 in Walsh. She had got a phone call that her son got shot and she beat the ambulance there.
Wow.
She beat the ambulance.
Mothers will do that.
Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I was literally waiting there. The cops was there and everything else like that. My aunt at the time was there. She was crying and everything else like that. It was a scary moment for everybody that was around me. My mother comes down. She's rushing.
And you were saying it was a night out with friends.
Yes.
Talk about the circumstances. Were you the intended target?
No. So what I found out after the situation is that the boys that came shooting, one of them had got robbed and got beat up on the block a couple of hours before that. So what happened is that they came back looking for the kid, and it was two stories that circulated. One was that I looked like the kid that had did what they did. And the second one was that the guy was in front of me when they started shooting. Now, once again, there was a lot of people outside, but I didn't see nobody in front of me while I was running. I just felt like they just came back looking for revenge and tried to get whoever they could get on the block. And that's what happens with most of our situations. People go through stuff and they don't never really go after the intended target. They come back and they just want to make a couple of noise and shoot, because I wasn't the only person that got hit that day. A girl got shot in the leg and she got shot across the street. So that just shows that these, they just came out and they just was spraying up the block.
We now return to Victims' Voices with Nicole Johnson.
Describe the teen that you were at that time compared to the person you are today. How did the shooting change your life?
So growing up in the Bronx, you always figured that getting shot, stabbed, or going to jail was a norm. You always figured that it could happen to you. Why? Because it happens to everybody around you. And at that time, I was also a troubled youth. I was also, a gang member at that time as well. Now, I say that to say this is that you never know where your life is going to lead to or who you're going to be later on in life. But at that moment, I was just following the same thing that everybody in my peers was. And that's why a lot of times when they see the youth today, they don't understand that that's a part of the environment, part of the culture, and we must break that. Because for me growing up, most of everybody I was around was gangbanging or into something. But what affected me the most is that after I got shot, I had a cast. I came right back to the block. My mother and my father was like, no, you're not going back over to grandma's house. We're going to keep you over there. And for me, it was like, I'm not scared. I'm going to be outside. What changed me is when Obama got elected, because I never thought I would see a black man actually become president. And he became president when I turned 17. So that means if I would have died at 16, I would have never got the chance to see a black president in office.
Wow.
At 17.
Wow.
I cried, because to me it was like, you almost missed future. And out of all the things that I have done and all the trouble that I have gotten into, the first time that, you know, somebody is shooting and it's not for me or whatever, I get hit. You know, and that let me know that these streets is unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it can happen to anybody, anywhere, and you're not exempt from it.
That's right.
After that let me know it's time for me to change my life.
And there's so many ways you could have changed.
Right.
So many ways people deal with trauma. Why did you choose advocacy?
Because, so this is another thing too, right? As I started to get older, you know, I really started to fight and be a part of the advocacy in my late 20s. I'm 34 right now. And what I started to see and I started to notice is that, you know, growing up, we glorified a lot of the things that we was doing in the streets.
You mean music videos,
all of that,
rap artists,
right?
Things like that.
And a lot of the kids looked up to some of us from some of the things that we was doing. But what I started to notice is that things are starting to get worse. And even though I changed my life around, a lot of my friends and a lot of people that was around me wasn't able to do that, you know? And because of, it felt like, to be honest with you, it just started to feel like gun violence in the South Bronx throughout the city just became a lot worse. And it was funny because I remember I shoot videos. I film, I edit and stuff like that. And I remember the first time I was about like 24. Well, no, 25. I shot a music video and all these kids pulled out nothing but guns. And as I'm filming this, I said, oh, this is different.
Meaning kids.
Teenagers. Like, and before growing up, there was only like, so let's say if it was 6 of us or 5 of us, 1 of us will probably have a gun, right? Now.
Where are you guys getting the guns from?
It's easy when you're in the South Bronx because somebody's always selling it. Somebody's always selling guns. Somebody's always selling a scalpel. If there's a black market for it, it's there. And usually the black market comes to our city. It comes to our towns. It doesn't go into other neighborhoods because they look at it like, oh, they need it. So we know that they're going to spend money. Now, the crazy thing is that when these kids started to when I started to film and I started to see this, and I went to him, I said, listen, I don't want to put out this music video because you're going to get locked up. You're going to go to jail. All of y'all going to go to jail. He was like, no, we don't care, da-da-da-da. I said, you know what? Y'all put it out on your own time. After they put the music video out, most of them went to jail. Now, it wasn't the problem that they just had guns. It was the arsenal in their guns.
Understood.
Guns with the beams, guns with their stint. And I started to look at this and I'm like, I'm older now. I get respect on my block for doing what I got to do as being a man and working. But now these kids, to every 5 to 6, there's 5 of them with guns and probably 1 without. This is a dangerous situation. Now, I got little brothers. I got little cousins, you know, and what happens when they get into issues with somebody? It's no longer a fighting situation.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
You know?
We're seeing it play out every single day.
Now, I see it like this as well. The reason why the crime rate is so high and gun violence is so high is because a lot of these kids don't got really nothing to do. You know, the centers is closed down, community centers is closed down, and the parents are not getting the proper help that they need when it comes to the youth.
Yeah, and now your voice is being heard as a community leader and
Yes.
advocate. What are you saying to these young people?
Well, first, it starts off with being real. You got to be 100% and 1,000% with them. You can be out here game banging, you could be out here doing what you want to do, but after a certain age, you will become a bum if you don't get your stuff together. And what is getting your stuff together? Making sure you graduate high school, making sure that at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, you need an apartment, you need a job. And a lot of these kids, you know, they are victims to the circumstances. A lot of them are not really like that. A lot of them want to do more. A lot of them want to be more. But they need somebody that's cool, that's from where they from to understand, look, you don't got to be about that. You know, who you are is who you are. If you're going to... It's hard to really explain, but I say it like this. When I talk to the kids based on who I'm talking to, I'm very real, honest with them.
And obviously you use your own experience to get through.
Yeah. Yeah. But they don't, to be honest with you, but they don't want to hear that. They don't really care. You got shot, all right, that helps. How can you help me to get me to my next goal? So I address that. What do you want out of life? Where do you want to be? You know, where do you see yourself? And once you figure that out and you figure out where that kid in that youth mindset is, it's easy to direct them into the right direction, because a lot of them, they're going through stuff. And a lot of times what I'm noticing with the youth is that they're going through stuff at home, they're going through stuff at school, and they're going through stuff in the streets. And when we talk about crash out missions, a lot of them, to be honest with you, they rather get hurt or put themselves in a situation to now say, well, this is how life's supposed to be.
Understood. What do you want people at home watching us, hearing your voice? What do you want them to know about gun violence and victims?
One, parents, please look into what your kids is doing. Look into their bags, look in the drawers and the dressers, because if you have a troubled teen and a troubled youth, 9 out of 10, it's a gun in your house. Even if you're not dealing with a troubled teen or troubled youth, there's a gun in your house. So I'm asking parents to step up more and to oversee what's going on with their kids. And then I'm also asking community members and saying that, listen, if you know something, say something. A lot of times when growing up, when I got into beef with certain people, elders stepped in the way and said, hold on, y'all not doing this here. And if there was somebody that was out there that was a little bit older, they probably could have stopped the situation. Even from when that boy got jumped or got hurt, they could have stopped the situation, and maybe he would have never felt the need to come back and shoot up the block. We need more mediators, and we also need more prevention.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tyreek Goodman, for joining us here on Victims' Voices. Your voice matters, and it shows that you can take a bad situation and turn it into a positive. That's all for now. I'm Nicole Johnson. Until next time. If you are a victim and need help, go to our website at pix11.com/resources.